Hey, welcome back to my channel. So excited. 2023, my first guest, my first interview coming right out of the gate, nice and strong for the year. And I'm going to continue the beautiful work of supporting other spiritual healers and people who have these amazing stories by introducing you to my next guest. Jess Verrill is a publisher. That's not all she does. She has so many different things that we're going to talk about today, so many tools in her toolkit, I will say. But the reason I wanted to partner up with Jess today and bring her in to meet you all is that she is going to be someone who can support you if you've always wanted to write a story or you have a spiritual modality, but you're not sure how to get it out to the masses. We're going to partner up together and hopefully, put more light in the world is our true intention. So what you're going to learn today is the front end and the back end of that endeavor. Let me tell you, there is so much more to the back end of all this. If you have a YouTube channel, you know that. And the front than there is to the front end. And what does the back end and the front end mean? You're about to learn. So please don't go anywhere. We're going to talk and unfold and unwrap what it is, how to do it, to get your information out there, to put more light in the world. Are you with me? Let's do this and let's do it together. That interview, it's coming up next. Jess, yay! So happy that you're here. I just did a beautiful little layup to you, excited to start the new year with someone like you. So you're going to tell us what that means in a minute. So excited too to help give people a tool to do the work, kind of, I'm going to say like we do, and that'll make sense. Most people who follow my channel, by the way, they're all energy healers and light workers, and they're on a spiritual mission. I like to say my channel is all about the spiritual hub, right? So you're going to add to that, and we're going to partner up, hopefully in 2023, with your modality, and you're going to talk about that today. So I'm going to get quiet, and I'm going to let you tell us all about you, how you got into this beautiful business that you're going to share with us today, and how you put light into the world. So please, let's get to know you.
Thank you, Janie. It's so lovely to be here. I'm really excited. So I am Jess Verrill. I'm the founder and CEO of House of Indigo. We are a multimedia publishing company that supports those in personal development, health, wellness, and spiritual practices to get their stories out there to really support a larger audience. We do that through book collaborations, books, we produce oracle decks, really anything publication. I'm also an intuitive healer.
Okay.
I am a channel. I have lots of intuitive abilities, and I really love to connect with this innate wisdom and essence of someone and help pull that out more powerfully so they can really go into creating the life of their dreams in alignment and really do what they're here to do, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
So we
so
have to stop for a second because I know 99.9% of the people that are watching this have had some kind of spiritual awakening that started them on their journey. And there's always, I laugh when I first started doing my work, right? So went through my own little awakening back in 2005 and then went into the self-help book spiritual new age system at Barnes and Noble and just got lost in there for a couple years trying to find my own modality that I was going to bring out to the world. And I used so many, and I saw your toolkit, by the way, on your internet, on your website. And I was like, holy moly, she does quite a bit to assist people. So what was the event that happened that opened up the door that made you kind of dig a little bit deeper? And then out of all the modalities you do, take us through a couple just so we know what you offer. So that would be great.
yeah, so I feel like there, if I could trace it back, I would have to say it was probably like the illness and death of my father when I was a child. I was 8, almost 9 years old when he passed.
Connection.
Yeah, no. Um, he had an autoimmune disease. So, there was a lot of turbulence around that. And I hadn't really connected it to that because it took me a couple of years, but really, I remember being 11 years old and it was babysitting and not really making much money. But then I would take that money and go to the bookstore and was buying books on herbs and holistic healing and candle magic and just anything to do with um, natural medicine and magic. Like I was really interested in those things from such a young age.
Can I
Um,
ask a question? Were you into it before? Because you mentioned your dad had an autoimmune disease. And were you already was the door already open to find out about healing and about where he was going? Or was it all kind of a surprise? Or did it happen after as part of your discovery?
yeah, that's a great question. So I really think, well, when he was going through all of this, I just thought he was going to get better.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think that he was going to pass on. I was like, he's my dad. He's strong. Like, yeah, you're sick. Your body heals and you get better. And that just seemed so normal to me.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was kind of a shock in regards to that of like, oh, like, people are not necessarily invincible. This isn't a normal thing that everyone just heals.
Yeah.
Um, and within that, when he was before he got to the worst of his illness, we had in my house growing up, there was cathedral ceiling and lots of skylights and sliding glass doors, and I grew up in the country, so lots of stars. And I remember he would look out those windows at night and pray for someone or an alien, whatever you want to call it, another being that would come with advanced technology and heal him. And
That's it.
at
That's beautiful. Yeah.
the time, like it wasn't something I was super conscious of. I thought maybe like, is he serious? Is it like, didn't really know what to make of it.
Yeah.
But knowing what I know now about myself and about my healing journey and looking back at that experience and the feeling that, of course, like our bodies just heal.
Yeah.
I know that that is so much of my soul experience of being in other places and other um, dimensions or galaxies or whatnot in different experiences and being like, yeah, we can heal like that. And I can help people do that. Um, I've always had this feeling that I should be able to help people heal instantly.
Yeah.
Um, and so that probably has prompted a lot of my journey because, from there I got into, when I was a little bit out of high school and started my studies, got into all of the health and wellness and started and found energetics and dove into that. So, yeah.
Got it. Oh, I love it. And let me just totally connect to you.
Yeah.
So my daughter passed when she was 8. So I'm on the mother side of that. And then you're on the father side of that and you're 8. So it's interesting that that contract, and I know you understand that word of what they had to offer us when they left and what the contract was while they were here and all that comes from that, right? So totally connecting to you too in the idea that we're doing the work we get to do as a connection and in honor of the whole idea that life moves on, that there's, acceptance. And I'm not saying that any of it was easy. Please, people, don't
Thank
start
you.
commenting below like I'm making it sound like a fairy tale, because we know more than anybody that it is not on both sides. So just want to acknowledge that. And then just the beauty of it, right? So beautiful. So thank you for sharing that heartfelt connection to your father. And I'm sorry for your loss. I want to acknowledge that. Was your mom open to at 11 understanding and the witchcraft and spells, and was she okay with that? Was she immersed in it too?
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing also. It's, that's really big, and having that connection. Um, my mother, my mother's interesting. My father was definitely who I had that stronger connection to. He was like my rock, and who I just adored on so many levels. I would say my mom was somewhat open to it. Like we didn't go to church. It wasn't that sort of upbringing, but she wasn't openly embracing it. It was just kind of like, oh, I was always the weird one. So
Got it.
yeah.
How did you go for you're 11, you have this experience, 8, you go through, you're in high school now and you're coming out and you're starting to dive a little bit more and learning a little more schooling and stuff. Take us to the bridge of this publishing company, and then let's dive into what you do and how do people work with you and all that fun stuff, because I kind of said this in the layup to you too. We were joking offline. There's so much work, but also there's so many words for it: inefficiencies, mistakes. I mean, um, time traps, spending time in the wrong area, not good boundaries, helping others and not helping self. I mean, we could go in this interview could go in so many directions, but we really want to be of service to people today who have the idea or a modality that they want to get out to the masses. So take us to your bridge. How did you get involved in this? And then, start your own publishing company that you're going to talk about today. And then how do you work with people? So let's dive there.
Yeah, so I was invited to be an author in a book collaboration. It was about 4 years ago, and it was like a dream come true. Like, so many people, and myself included, have wanted to be an author. And that was two things I had always carried with me. I wanted to be a mom and I wanted to be an author.
Yeah.
And so when this opportunity presented itself, it was like, yes. It was really beautiful, really amazing being able to share some of my experience and some of my journey with the world. And soon thereafter, I was approached and asked, would you like to learn this? Would you like to mentor with me? And it was just a full on, like my body, everything was like, yes.
Yeah. Love that.
So it felt like for me, it was the perfect bridge and combination of bringing all of my energetics and my healing and wellness work into being able to support people's voices more, being able to bring it into something a little bit more tangible through the power of stories.
And I'm sure that sounds like, and I'm going to guess, and you're probably going to go, that's it, Jean, because I know it happened to me when I worked with Annette, and we'll talk about that in a second. You go through, you think you're done your healing. That's kind of funny, but you're never done. We know that. But you think you're done, and then someone approaches you about writing your story, and you're like, oh, I could just write the story that I've been through. This will be good. Put it on paper was my thought. And then I started to write. And then I realized that there's words in between the words and there's space in between the letters. And all of a sudden, I thought I was done my healing until I wrote my story and published it. And that just opened up. And I'm sure here's the question for you. That must have opened the door for you to go, I want to help other people do this, because you had your own kind of experience, right? So is that what happened?
Yeah, that's absolutely, so much of it is the lessons and the healing that we still have, even if we've told our stories, if we vocalized them, if we shared them with their friends, if we've written a little bit about it on social media or whatnot, once we actually sit down and it is going out into a book and out into the world, and it's a little bit more of a deeper dive, there's so much that comes up. It's like this next layer of healing. And
well, let's dispel right now, since we're both witches on the side. Let's dispel what most people are thinking right now who have always wanted to write a book. And because I thought the same things. What a daunting process. I don't have the time to sit down. I'm not disciplined enough to do that. Or I can't spell. Or I'm not great at grammar. I mean, these are all things that I'm sure it's too long of a story. I couldn't possibly shorten that. I mean, these are the cost involved, right? So I could go on and on and on. So for those of you who are listening, who've always wanted to do this, and you're hearing me going, yeah, check, 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 that's me. I was flippin' amazed at how seamless, how cost effective, how time, it was not this, it was an emotional commitment. I'm not saying that there's not time involved in the rest of it, but there's so many processes in place to support this endeavor, like the, professional editors and the timeline. And I hate to say you do all the work, but you really do, which is why you can get burned out doing what you do, right? So take people there, solve those kind of problems for them, like when you get involved in a multi-author book, or if you have an oracle deck you want printed, or if you have a story you want shared, take us through the process of how that happens and how you kind of organize and go through that checklist for others. I know they'll be interested.
Yeah. So when we're looking at doing something like a collaborative book where there's multiple authors that are coming together, that it's so beautiful. It's just like this beautiful community that's coming forth. There's a lot of support around the energetics and the healing, especially in my projects.
Yeah.
I can't speak for everyone else's, but there is a lot of support around that. And then depending on what the program and the project is, we have writing support. We're going through the editing process. And those are all taken care of. Like, you don't have to worry about finding an editor. You don't have to worry about finding an interior designer, a cover designer, someone who's going to take care of the back end. What is an ISBN number? Do I need it? Do I need it for this copy? All of those things, like I've got covered. And so you're right. There are so many moving pieces. And there's a lot going on in the background. And not knowing that, I think a lot of people think I show up and I'm happy and I'm like, let's create community and we're going to work on your core messaging and weaving that golden thread through. And then in the background, it's, moving chapters from here to there and editing and, doing all of these things in place. So there really is, as you said, there really is just such a beautiful system set up that has made it's my job to take care of that stuff. That's what I'm here for. I'm managing the project. I'm providing support. I'm providing guidance. And one of the beautiful things that I love because of my intuitive abilities, and like my energetic practices and all of my background is I'm really able to feel into when there's something coming up for someone and kind of holding things in a different way and supporting them through that.
Love that.
And sometimes if they're having a challenge with saying things right, it'll just come through to me of like, okay, well, what about this? So it's like this extra, it feels like a cheat code, but it's just so much a part of who I am and how I operate that it's able to support all of my clients in the next level of that. And so
how can someone determine if the time is right? I know it's kind of like, I'll wait to have children so I can afford it.
Gosh,
right?
Yeah.
I'll wait to write my story when this happens but there is a commitment involved and there is some timing involved. And I'll give an example in the projects that I was involved in. Let's say 20 people were part of the multi-author book. I would say, and not to dog any of the numbers of the people, I'm not doing that, but I'm saying out of the 16, there were 8 or 9 of us that were like all in, like showed up at all the Zoom meetings and took advantage of the support, right, that there was. And I'm sure you mentioned that you have the same thing. You have people who are great at this that support the PR piece and the video side. And so there's all these tools network, right? It's a network collaboration with people teaching them all the skills involved. So when we look to the time involved, right, and whether it's a good time or not time, what would be some advice for people so that they get the value of what they can offer out to the world back by what they have to offer in? And let me just say that a little slower because it's worth repeating. I've always said, if you ever read the book, The Go-Giver?
Yes. That's
Okay.
one of my, it's like right up there, I think.
Right. It's like, it's in my whole business is based on, and I've always said to people, do not come to an event I'm having or a class I'm teaching with this idea of what you're going to get. And you're just going to show up and I'm going to get something and this is going to be good for me. And I'm going to tell my business name and I'm going to walk away with 10 new clients, don't come. Come with this idea that you have value and you have value you want to add. And then when you show up in that way, especially out to the world, then so much more will come back to you. So mirroring that and lining up with that truth, when is a good time? Like if you were going to identify that for people, what would be some of the things that you could offer them? Like, hey, if you're ready and you're at a place where you're starting a new bit. So answer that for us, Jess. That would be helpful for the people listening.
Yeah, so I think for there's going to be a difference for for different projects. So with the collaborative or multi-authored books, those, if you're looking to build your community, if you're looking to network more, if you're really at that place where you have a lot of your business in place and instruction, like the structure down, and you're ready to just kind of take it to the next level. You're ready for a bigger audience. You're ready to collaborate with people, and you have space for that. That is really a big thing of my programs is this community that we're creating, and it is with that mentality. Like, how can we help each other? How can you maybe refer people to each other? How can you collaborate on something else? What are these relationships that are going to be formed that are going to support you both outside of this project in a way that is really supporting everyone? It's supporting both of you. It's supporting all of the people who need what you each have. It's just like, that collaboration energy. Like it's not, how can we all support each other? So if they're in a place of that, if they're really ready to step into that next level and they're, everyone has a story, right? Everyone has a story that's going to be moving and powerful to other people. And so if that's the thing holding someone back, we've got tools for that. We've got, we have meetings, we have programs, and like that's part of what we're doing is really diving into, what is ready to come out and how can we bring that out in a way that is as refined and as polished as possible while having the most impact on the reader, and how that's going to bring people closer to you, and how it's healing you in the process, because as you said, it is a very big healing process.
If you're healing yourself, you're healing others, right? Because it's happening. You have that to offer out to people. Take us through 2023. If people wanted to, it's time. What is your next project? Maybe somebody listening is thinking, oh my God, this is me. Here's your chance to pitch it.
Yeah, so the project that I'm working on right now is called Soul Alchemy.
Okay.
Ascension Codes to Live a Life Beyond Your Wildest Dreams.
Got it.
So I have some incredible people have signed up, and it's the same thing. Like I keep tuning in and it's like, there's 5 more people. There's 5 more people. There's 5. I'm like, okay. And of course, we have free will. We can decide
all the things we were talking about earlier in this interview, right? How do you know it's the right time? Are they ready to invest in it? I mean, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? So drop some of the seeds or the energy around that so this can serve as kind of that energetics for you. Tell us more about the right person for this. Because you already know what that is. Share that with us so we can spread this video out to those people, and it will find them, whoever's
Yeah.
supposed to be listening. Let's go
Yeah.
there.
So this is really for transformational leaders or people who have going through big transformation themselves. So what are the tools? What are the elements that helped you come from, maybe having an area of your life that didn't feel as great, to be able to transcend that and to really begin creating like a life that you love and that you're just super excited about it. So and I feel like so many people need this more now. Like the rate of people who are having spiritual awakenings are so great. And a lot of them are feeling kind of lost. They're like, kind of like, okay, now what? Like, and I know that my life now doesn't fit, but how do I get to the next level?
Yeah.
So, and then of course there's always, I have next levels. We all have next levels. So how do we have some of these tools? This project, and I am so excited about this. We're actually diving into so we have an opening ceremony, and then we're diving into our core messaging workshop. And then we're doing a whole month of writing workshopping. So I have my lead editor, who has her master's of fine arts in creative writing, and teaches this actually at the university level, is coming.
Okay.
She's a very spiritual being herself, how I met her in a circle years ago. So she's coming in and leading these workshops to really help people refine their message, get into adding like more details of it, really just getting this as polished as possible. And of course, we go through the editing and all of that. And we're doing an accompanying workbook for this. So we are taking, I know this is a fun one. It's
So
really
let me interject so what my audience can keep up. So this is for somebody who has had this, transformation and has a process or a coaching thing in place that helps people. And you're going to give them the opportunity to tell their story on how they got there. And then in this, it gives them also an opportunity to write a workbook to assist others to do this work. So for the people who I've always wanted to, but didn't have the structure and the time, this comes with both.
Mhm.
That's amazing.
So yeah, we're doing the
Got it.
writing workshopping, and then so you don't have to be a coach per se. Like there are some
Okay.
people, a lot of the people I work with are, coaches, healers, psychics, all of that realm. However, if you work in finance and you have this beautiful story of how you transform people's lives through the power of money or finance, that's a really great fit too. It's like, think of all of the elements that we need of living a really beautiful life that is just like our dreams. It really is. It's the health, it's the finance, it's the spiritual, the mental, the emotional. Like, what are all of these components? Family, partnerships, like all of that. So, any of those stories, or if you've experienced something yourself and you want to share about that too. And then, the workbook will just be like the next way for people to, they read your story, and then you've got the rituals, the magic, the journal prompts, the ceremonies that we're putting in this workbook, so they can take it and really apply it into their life.
Got it. Love it. You started to talk earlier, and it's probably all the same, but I want to open up this door too, kind of as we come around the final 220 on our interview too. Make sure this gets said. We've just come through COVID. Well, we're still going through COVID. Sorry, people. Right? 2023. We're going 3 years on this. It's changed the way a lot of our industry is done. It's made working on Zoom and connecting. We've talked about the 3D into the fifth dimension. And you mentioned earlier about time and about the buffer of time and how quick things are moving. And so give us a pulse when you said it's really important work for where we are in the world right now. Give us some hope for 2023. In your business and in this intention that you have for helping people, right, to do this. where are we in the state of the world right now, and why this is so perfect, and your intentions and stuff. Let's go there before we wrap up today.
Yeah. I'm so
Big
excited.
question. Could be a whole interview, I know, but
It's totally good.
it's a
I'm
good
so
time to put that in.
I am really excited this year. And yes, there are so many people who are starting to wake up and starting to realize, like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. And maybe there's a better way. And maybe I do need to do that healing. And it's kind of like, I kind of almost picture it, just talking about it now as like this little chick who is like hatched out of its shell. And it's kind of like, okay, I don't know what to do. I can't really fly. I don't know how to do that. I don't know. I'm hungry, but I don't know where to go, like all of this stuff. So those of us who have been on this path longer, who have more experience and more training and more skills, it's really our time to step out there, put our work out there in a bigger level and say, here, let me guide you. Because the truth of the matter is like these people, these souls, I feel like it's just such a crucial and vulnerable point where it's like, okay, continue to move forth in this development and in the light and in healing, or get sucked back into fear.
Yeah.
And
Ascend. Yeah.
yeah, and for like the collective, for our planet, for all of the consciousness, we really need to support as many people into coming into their
The
full
container.
life selves, like remembering their divinity, so that that can be our experience here right now. And I do really feel like it's such a crucial point.
Yeah. I love that. And I think it's funny, I said when we started working together today, I feel like I already know you,
Yes.
right? So we're having this conversation. We're like, oh my God, she's a sister this way, right? So I know we already understand this, but you mentioned it, and I want to mention again for the audience. None of that. We used to work so independently, as healers. We were, hiding and closing the door and making sure no one heard us. And oh, I'm going to sound crazy if I say this on the internet, but here we go. I'm seeing someone behind you. Now, because of COVID or all of it, where we are in the world, energetics, whatever. The biggest message I think that I want to mirror that you're saying is, we're doing this together. That we cannot, if we're as slow as the last person in line, right? So we cannot ascend unless consciously we all ascend together. And the people who won't transition and go and move or what, they're not going to, die in a sense. They're just going to be part of another experience that is not as a higher vibration. So this is that leaping that we're talking about. So the work is important, mirroring what you said, because now is the time to do this together, and creating these your publishing company and your company and what you're doing for others is part of that collection and working together. So I started to say container, and that sounds small and like we're getting in it, but we're working together in that. So I love that. I think that's just such a beautiful segue to kind of wrap things up so that people are not too overwhelmed by our beautiful conversation today. So we've covered so much. I know it doesn't seem like it because time flies when you're having fun, but
Yes. And we could talk about this for days.
and we could, right? So please, people who are listening and watching, I'm going to ask one more question before we kind of wrap up. And that is there anything that you knew that you wanted to make sure got said in this interview before we wrap up today, to make sure that people know how to get a hold of you and work with you? I want to make sure that gets said.
Yes. So if someone is interested in working with me, there's lots of great info on my website, especially my publishing one. I just had that built out. It's so, so beautiful. However, if you're interested in being a part of Soul Alchemy, or hearing about an upcoming project, an email would definitely be a really great way to go. Or, you can go on my website, check out everything on there. I've been doing a lot of TikTok lately. Yeah.
Are we
I've
TikTok friends yet?
I don't think so,
We
but
need to be.
I've been doing a lot of the energetics. So here are basics of energetic clearing, all of that, to help support people who are really coming up into that way. I have an energetic hygiene course that I'm putting together that will be out soon. If someone is, looking for more of that support. I have really like impeccable energetic standards. So I think that's really important.
Explain what
And
that means for my audience. Good boundaries.
boundaries and discernment. I think so much of it is discernment. It's, we can go and we can channel or we can talk to whoever or do whatever, but who are you talking to? How do you know that that's in alignment with the message that you want, or with or for your highest good, for the highest good of all of us? And so it really is like getting so much into that, because there's a lot of tricky energies out there. It's not all what it seems to be. So it's really, really, really important that we're learning these skills. And
what is your YouTube about? I know I'll link your YouTube below, and I just subscribed, so what is your YouTube intention so people can subscribe to that?
My YouTube has a little bit of both. So it has some of my, I usually will post something about any new publishing projects I'm doing on there. And then I have a little bit of the energetics also. So it's kind of a mix.
Got it.
And and I also, if someone is looking to write their own book and, maybe doing it themselves, is out of the question, but working one-on-one with someone is just also out of the question. It's too much of a commitment, too, big of a financial commitment. Then I'm starting a membership that will be kicking off next month. That is walking through the entire process of writing, self-publishing, creating an audiobook, promotion, the whole shebang. So
that sounds beautiful. And people can find that right on your website.
It will be on there soon. Yes. Okay. We're working on all the final details, but if they're interested, you can email me too, and then I'll make sure that they get on my list.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. It was so nice to get to know you better today. I loved our conversation. I love starting the new year out with this great energetics and getting people ready for the new year. Feel a lot of hope connected to that. So thank you so much. So I think that means we're going to slide into. Do you know what we're sliding into?
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. So the music's kicking up right now. I'm going to thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. I truly do appreciate your time today, and I feel like I've made a new friend. Okay. These are one-word questions. If you answer more than one word, you get edited out. So here we go. What is your favorite movie?
Bridesmaids.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I do a lot of that on TikTok, so we'll have to connect there. If you were going to change the world today, the world needs what in order to be changed?
Consciousness.
We all have pet peeves. What is your pet peeve?
Playing small, not believing in yourself.
Love that. We all have personal qualities about ourselves that we love. What is something you love about yourself, Jess?
I'm really great at including people and creating community.
And then the last question before I say goodbye today is, what are you doing when you're experiencing joy?
Summer, outside, flowers, my daughter there, just having a good time. Maybe a swim.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, for your time today. You can follow this on all of our social medias. We'll put all the links below. We appreciate you. We value you. Have a great day, and we'll see you next video. Thank you so much, Jess. Appreciate you. Bye, everybody.